What's up, Denver? We have a great podcast about house hacking and house hacking in today's high interest rate environment. So our guest, actually less than 2 years ago, was a tenant in one of Jeff White's room-by-room rentals, saw the power of house hacking, bought his first house hack over a year ago for less than $3,000 down, and now has just closed on his second house hack where, get this, no money in, actually got $1,000 check back out, and is about living for free. So powerful story, lots to unpack, and we'll also talk about how he's doing almost no money down and making it work at interest rates in the 7%. All right, to tee it up, I got Troy Howell with Nova Home Loans. Welcome, Troy.
Thank you.
So a lot of you guys know Troy. So Troy actually did the loan on this property and also knows the game of house hacking. And also got Jeff White, who was the agent on here.
Yeah.
What's up, Jeff?
I'm living the dream here. You know, you get to be talking about amazing house hack deal around great people. And
You're not just living the dream, you're helping other people achieve their dreams, which
He's
is even
dream.
better.
Yes.
So introduce our guest and your guys' client.
Yeah, so Shriganesh is the client, and his story is absolutely amazing. He started off basically, I'll just give you the high level. Chris alluded to it in the intro. Basically, was a tenant in my basement, and not just the large room. I gave him the small corner. I think it was 8x8.
Yep.
The tiny room.
Yep.
Oh, you gave him the southeast closet?
Yeah, exactly. You had the shut off in there too. So he's my tenant in the basement, and very smart guy. You know, he's like, hey, I want to save money. I want to not have to, coming from an apartment and then, downsizing, basically going to a house with a bunch of roommates. Absolutely amazing, and cut his living costs in half. And then from there, he saw how I was operating it as a house hack. And then he started, was curious because of his background in his business endeavors and software engineering. He was very inquisitive and wanted to know what I was doing, how did I do that, and even potentially can I potentially buy something, or should I go rent? But I want to have Ganesh tell more of the story because we'll continue on from there. So going back to when you were living there, what kind of drove you to be more curious about house hacking or potentially renting? What was your decision tree there?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was renting at your place, I was a single guy and living in a room, 8x8 room. But I got married after a couple of months, right after I moved in with your beautiful property in Lakewood. But then when I got married, my wife, I wanted to have our own place, right? But I started looking for the apartments in Denver downtown area, where my office are, something like that. And then I find out that it's the rent is $1,500 around, and then you have parking fee $100 and the additional utilities, whatnot. So at least around close to $1,800. That's major chunk of my salary, right? And knowing that my wife, she's going to be a student for a couple of years, that math would not just work with me. It will just break me down, right? If I have major big ticket items, right, like health or something like that. So that wasn't going to work with me. And I saw how Jeff is doing his property in the Lakewood, right? He was living there with his wife at the time in one room, and then the rest of the rooms were rented at the time. I saw that, and we got into talking around how he do it, and then I got excited. But I think I wasn't much more into real estate. That wasn't my passion, whatnot. But I think my situation where I wanted to cut down my living cost, my rent, essentially, because major portion of the expense is rent, right?
Yep.
So if I can cut that down and have my own place with my wife, that I wouldn't ask more from that.
So I'm hearing really I get you weren't you weren't a real estate junkie, nor were you looking for it, but you had a problem, which was, hey, how can I find a place where I can have some privacy and live in and not break the bank? And you solve the problem by saying, hey, I see this guy, Jeff, doing this in real estate. You're just a very good problem solver, is what I'm hearing.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and my wife, I know we wouldn't want to, I was not sure she would be comfortable with a bunch of strangers, whatnot. So when we bought the first property upstairs, I got 2 rooms, and I had my friend moved in with me. And then he's not stranger anymore, right? So upstairs, me, my wife, and my friend, he's paying the rent too, right?
Mhm.
So, but it's like upstairs we got ourselves, like kind of like private and our own place, right? So, and that worked out pretty great for my family on the first deal.
And then going back a little bit, so what led you? So when you that first place, if we want to talk about that, what kind of appealed to you on that one? Was it the size of the house, the rooms, kind of like high level? What did that accomplish from going from potentially renting that one bedroom for $1,600 plus utilities? So basically, potentially paying that, and then you found this one big house, and living upstairs with your friend and your wife, and then you rented out. Can you go a little more into that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So when were we looking before we start even looking whatnot? Like I talked to Jeff and we talked about the numbers, right? So I want to make sure, like, if I'm getting the place, then I want to make sure the rent that I'm assuming I will with the house hack, I will have reduced rent per
Yep.
month. I want to make sure the numbers work, right? So when we found this beautiful place in Westminster, Jeff mentioned that, hey, we have to be a little bit creative to make the number works. Same thing what he did in Lakewood House. So what we did, we put a bedroom in the basement, right? Basement was, I think it was much huge, and a lot of tenants, they don't even use the basement because I rented for 6 years prior to buy the house, right? So I know, like, I'm most of the time I'm in my room, and and so we added the room, and then the numbers starts making sense.
Yeah, walk us through this deal, because I mean,
Yeah.
before we can get the rent, like you also used some creative, I mean creative financing, just a grant program, like for getting like very low down, because like there's the rent numbers, but also like the buy side, you bought really well, where you didn't go out there knocking 1,000 doors, but you made it work through financing where you had very low money down. And I know, Jeff, this is one of your creative specialties.
Yeah, so it depends on the client and their situation, but Ganesh was like, what's the right time to buy? How could I get a deal in a market like a year ago, basically? And my favorite time to buy, and I tell I'm like preaching from the mountaintops and all that, is like Thanksgiving to New Year's is easily the best time to buy. Your competition is all taking vacation, spending time with family, basically not looking. But for buyers, it gives you more opportunity. So when I was telling Ganesh, like, hey, look right before year end, try to find something right before year end, and you'll be able to get yourself the best deal possible. On top of that, there's this down payment grant assistance. And if you're willing to live in a certain area that qualifies for the program, now it opens up more doors, and you could pretty much get into this house for basically a small amount of money. And that's pretty much where it started. And then it narrowed down the areas, and then what he's qualified for. And then we found this house that was a big house and already had egress windows in the basement. So it was already kind of set up in like a nice, almost a separate entrance, basically. And then just a few pretty much rent ready condition. It only needed that basically a few modifications, but that's where it kind of went to.
So when you bought it, how many bedroom and bath was it?
Was it 5 bed?
Yeah, it was 5. Yeah,
And then you added 1 bedroom to it?
that's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then as far as like, what was the purchase price and how like rough money in?
Yeah.
Purchase was what, 500K?
Right. So before
yeah.
we started looking, I think we started just a month ago, like very sooner. The same house, it was like 515. But then the number was not making sense, right? So Jeff and I, we started looking other properties, and then a month goes by, and then after that, I think Jeff saw they reduced the price because same thing, like Thanksgiving, and the holidays started kicking in.
That's what happens.
Yeah. So the price started dropping, right? And Jeff gave me a call, and then he's like, "Hey, this house, they reduced the price. Do you wanna take a look?" And then we sure. And then we put an offer with the seller credits of like 15 grand more, right?
Yeah.
So the 15 grand already they reduced the price. Now it's like 500, and then 15 grand we got the seller credit of 15 grand. And on top of that, we already, like, Jeff has a pretty good network of lenders where each lenders may have their own different programs that they can qualify for their clients, whatnot. So he found a program really good for me, and then I already knew I don't have to pay a down payment.
Yeah.
Because I already have a program for it.
Yes.
Right. The closing cost, that's what I was worried about. But then I got seller credit too to get the closing cost covered. So for me, very little money that I put in, and then house was ours.
Yeah. And you were all in for like $3K-ish, was it?
That's correct.
Yeah,
$3K.
that's nuts.
For
So
$500,000.
$500,000, yeah, $500,000 asset. You're all in for about $3,000.
That's correct.
Oh, yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.
So what we're going to highlight here, we're going to go through this because like the cool thing is, we'll fast forward a minute, like this is a repeatable process Jeff, Ganesh, and Troy have done. But he took action, he saw it, optimized between location, what he needed, what he could operate, and then optimized with lending, and found a great property, great location, great financing, and one that most importantly worked out for you and your new family.
Yeah.
And then I know once you closed on there, you've had some interesting stories come along the way. It turned into a little bit of like Fight Club for a minute there, right? That's kind of what I heard before. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the new house hacking strategy.
Yeah. I know like Jeff is a really good real estate agent for me so far, because we just got the house closed and whatnot. And he had a really good course of like, you pay just very little, $75, and you follow he has the process of like, how do you do screening? How do you stage?
Follow the plan.
All the plan, right? And I went through the course, but I didn't realize how important it is that I should follow. I'm like, I don't know, like, right? So because and then for a while, like I started with Airbnb guy, and then with Airbnb now, with Airbnb there was few tenants, and it was great, whatnot. But then the person that was there, he had to have long terms, right? And then I'm like, okay, right, I'm having a little bit construction improvements going on my property in first couple of months. Let's have him. And then Airbnb, I didn't have any background check done, right, which was mentioned by his course in the process. I didn't have, and he was a dentist, right? So I'm like, yeah, this Airbnb guy looks nice, talk nice, is
Good
very
job.
sweet person. Yeah, he has a decent job, whatnot. I will not have any problems, right? But then I had another person moved in, and then I don't know what happened, but they started to have little bit fight, and then
Like physical, right?
Physical fight.
Yeah.
And then they had like one day they had like, I was sleeping, and then my wife, she came rushing like, hey, there is blood everywhere. I'm like, what happened? And then she's like, wake up. I'm like, I for a minute, like I was like stunned, like, because like blood.
Yeah.
What's going on now? Right? So I came back rushing, and I saw on my couch there is a split of bloods, whatnot, and the floor, and two persons, like the Airbnb people, right? They were just fighting right there, and the fighting was going live, right? So I asked my wife like, hey, just call 911. What? We called 911. They came a little bit late. but they came, right? Like, so but by the time they were having much more argument, whatnot, and I had my friend to like, like isolate one person holding my friend, holding him, I'm holding the other guy, like, hey, don't fight, let's talk, whatnot. And then, but I don't think they were in the mood to talk.
Wow.
Because already the blood, his face was like all bloody, and then the other guy like too angry and whatnot. So it was very, very like very disappointing for me. Is like, I don't know if I should continue. That night, same night, I asked my wife, I don't know if this is sustainable. Like, maybe I can just have this place just by myself. I want to quit. I just want to quit, because there is nothing more than family, right? Like, I mean, if my family, I feel like threatened, I wouldn't want to do it again.
Yep.
But then I talked to Jeff, and then we got things figured out, how to have the proper eviction on the people, right? How to have proper process to give the proper notice to them, right? Not breaking the law. I know like a lot of rules some of the rules are with landlords, some of the rules are with tenants too. So they are very, very powerful for them, right? So so that's what lessons learned. Follow the process, no matter what. Follow the process.
Screen everyone Background
screen
credit,
everyone. Background,
income.
yeah, background check is very, very important, right?
Who cares if they're dentist just because they have a nice smile? Doesn't mean you can trust them.
No, but I mean, so true. And this is just, it comes down to like, really any business and investing is, hey, follow the plan, follow the process. Jeff put that plan together because he's taken his black eyes, along the way, to put that on there. So take it. And that was the course you put together, right,
Yes.
Jeff?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's something, all of our clients that work with us, we have a couple free courses on how to do a room by room house hack, how to self-manage, how to Airbnb, and comes with all the processes and checklists. So if you guys are a client, make sure you let us know. So we'll give you that for free. The other thing I want to point out too is, we always say this, but this is a great reminder. It's always a matter of when, not if, something bad will happen in real estate. Might be flooding, might be a tenant destroying the property, might be your tenants getting into a fight. Like, it's a matter of when. That's part of investing in real estate, is you deal with that stuff. That's why we also make better returns in the stock market typically.
Yep.
All right. So you did that and you realized, hey, it wasn't that real estate investing is bad. The issue was, hey, you didn't follow the process.
Got it.
So, hey, you did corrective course there. And it sounds like your wife was on board with that as well.
That's correct. Yeah, she was like, let's try one more. Let's give one more shot, right? Just follow the process and whatnot, and then we will see from there.
Okay.
And then so far it worked out great because the same tenant after that, I had the tenants, everyone screened, and same tenant I have right now, even after a year, I would say, like 8 months, 9 months. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. All right. And then bring us up now, because I know I think the end of October, you just closed on your second house hack, which is the one I really want to dive into because, hey, it's today's, numbers. It's in the interest rate of 7%. And the coolest thing about there is, like, you actually walked away with a check at closing. Couple is checks. Something that we don't talk about too often, nor does it happen, but you just had a bunch of stuff that lined up very well for us. So, like, unpack that.
Yeah, for sure. So when I had my first problem, which was like how to reduce my rent, was solved by first property. But now I had kid on the way, right? My wife was pregnant, and I knew like in December I will have one more kid, and so my mother-in-law, we invited her to help us out. And I'm a software engineer. I work from home, so basically I needed 3 rooms now. But on the same property, if I get the 3 rooms just by myself, the number will not work. So my problem is now I want the same floor, more privacy, right, for me and my family, because I don't want the tenants walking with the shoes when my kid is playing on the same floor, right?
Yep.
So I don't want that. So and the numbers also I want to make sure that my family is like we are rent free, we are living rent free now. So that's why I got started into another deal, the second house hack. And in the second house hack now, but before I got into that, I had a kind of like lender's checklist that I have. What I do with that is, first I talk to different bunch of lenders, like see what programs they have. Each one have different programs, because I think like what I heard is like each program, maybe some lenders qualify to have those programs, some may not, right?
Yep.
Something like that. Like for example, the CHAFA, maybe one lender can offer that, another may not. So same thing. So I had that. Okay, I had that first one, all the weighted, all the lenders, right? See what program they have and what I qualify for, what my current debt to income ratio looks like, what my assets look like, what my liability looks like, all that stuff. So
how many lenders did you talk with?
I talked to 3 lenders.
3 lenders? Okay.
That's correct, yeah.
And Troy was one of them?
Troy was one of them.
I see. Okay, cool.
I talked with Troy. I talked with the other banks as well, because my first loan was from bank. So I want to make sure. But then I realized the banks, they're not that creative.
No.
In terms of lending.
Yeah.
So that's what I kind of like, because first deal was straightforward. So the bank did help. But the second was a little bit creative. So, and I wanted to be creative because I don't want to put any money, because when you have kid and the delivery and all the fees and all that stuff, you don't even talk about those numbers, right?
Right.
That's funny.
What, health insurance doesn't cover everything?
No, no. My wife, I'm the only person who earns, right? So my wife, she's on me and as a dependent on insurance already.
Yep.
And the kid is already on the dependent on the insurance, whatnot. So the number gets a lot. So that's why I'm like, I will have much more debt. Now, how can I get from this debt, right? So I got bigger debt to get rid of the smaller debt. And that's probably working great. So the checklist that another program is like, I look for how, based on my DTI and all that, how much I can afford, right? And I already knew my own personal goal. I want to have separate entrance for the tenants. I want to have the 3 rooms, the same floor for me, separate bathroom. And then which neighborhood I want to have, because I think the commute and all that was very important for me. So I got based on the first deal versus second deal, right? And then and the seller credit, how much I need. That's, I already knew how much seller credit I would need in order to kind of like range, in order to have this deal worked out, because I just don't have enough money to put in from my pocket to the deal.
Yeah.
I just don't have it. But I also want to solve my problem. And that's where the creative lenders like Troy came and helped me out. And I couldn't say thank you enough for that, because you solved my family problem. You solved kind of like financial problem too, right?
Yeah.
So with the second deal, even after living for 3 rooms just for ourselves, for same floor, I still make the number work by doing some creative ways, such as turning the garage into a room, right? And that's the biggest room I have in my house, and that's like the best room, beautiful room, and I get $950 for that room, right? I in the basement I converted, I added 2 more rooms, something like that. So total I got 8 rooms in the second deal. 5 of them I rented out, 3 of them I keep it to myself.
So you got 8 bedrooms in the new house, 1 being with the garage conversion, and you got the upstairs to yourself, 3 rooms.
Correct.
Bedroom, home office, and then room for your mother-in-law.
That's correct.
And the kitchen and living space upstairs, right?
Right.
What part of town is this in?
It's in Westminster.
Westminster? And then let's talk about the numbers and walk us through the financing on there, Troy, because I know like the things I got at you, Troy, is hey, you've got the great programs, but you're also very good at like truly understanding people's like needs. Like you do a really good job of like listening at what for people's wants, and then saying, hey, here's how we can help solve that problem or get you to that goal. So you have Ganesh come to you, and obviously he's doing his homework, he's prepped. So what process you take him through, and how'd you help put together this finance package?
Yeah, and just what Ganesh had touched on already is doing that upfront homework. So here's my house I own right now. I'm departing that house and buying my second house. So we had to review that and package that to make sure how that would calculate into his DTI, right? The existing house with the rental income coming off that house, and then also getting some more rent coming in from the space you were occupying when you left that house, so your departure residence. So doing that front end homework was highly helpful. Getting pre-approved, so doing the application, getting the documentation in, getting all that information. So it makes it so much easier and less stressful once the house was identified. And then having a great partner with Jeff on the real estate side to be able to negotiate in the seller credits with the program that we're plugging Ganesh into to really make the numbers fly. So so down payment assistance, financing, nothing overly magical with that, but then packaging in those seller credits to help with the remainder of the closing cost to really get you skinny on the cash into it, to the point to where it really got you some money to improve the house that you talked about, the garage and the extra bedrooms in the basements to make the numbers work. We're all taken care of. Literally, you got money back at closing from your deposit, which is awesome. Plus the improvements to the property.
Can we break that down a little more? Because I find it so fascinating, especially it's the way you basically escrowed some of the improvement costs, right? And
yeah.
Go ahead, Jeff. You want to jump in?
Yeah, so I can go high level and try to go into more details. So high level, it was Westminster property. It was 4-bed, 3-bath, about 2,500 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good size
pretty
house.
Typical single family home.
But it was
but I love this.
Yeah, there's always a good but. There's some bad butts, but this is good but. This one was a nice setup already. So it was about as move-in ready, rent-ready condition as possible. New flooring, new paint, new baseboards, new windows, new roof, gutters, garage.
Was it a flip property?
No, the guy owned it for about 10 years and just wanted to improve it before selling. So he was an owner,
great
agent seller, and then had new mechanical systems. So new AC, new furnace, new water heater. So pretty much about as ready to go as I've ever seen for just a single family house and price at. So this is why I also like buying in the fall, winter, is because everyone's on vacation or just sitting at home twiddling their thumbs, and they're not looking. So your competition for a house like this is a guy like Chris, this with a guy Troy that have families, and everyone likes single families, but your competition is other families more so than a house hacker. But families don't like to move their family if kids are already in school. So like after late August, they're like, well, kids are in school, I'm not going to like uproot my family and move. So your competition was basically just yourself.
Yep.
So we came in, it's listed at, was it five? It was listed at 515. We came in at 520 because we knew based on the improvements already, it's already like a better than average place in that location. And we asked for a $15K credit on the front end, seller credit.
How long had it been on the market?
Like 20 days.
Yep. Okay.
Not super long, but long enough where I knew.
That's right around the first price drop, usually, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So he was definitely semi-motivated seller. Like he pretty much accepted it with that 15K credit. And I felt confident it would appraise based on the comps because we weren't going like 10K over asking, but 520, 15K credit. And from there, we did the inspection, and it was like I don't even remember exactly, minor.
Yeah,
electrical.
very minor electrical
It was like-
breakers. I think the breakers were just old.
Yeah.
Very little minor. Like
I somehow convinced them, let's just add another 3K seller credit on top of the 15K. So we got $18K total seller credit after the inspection for move-in ready place from some minor electrical issue that wasn't $3,000, but I convinced because the guy was motivated to sell it. So 18K seller credit, 520K price, and Troy. What
that's where Jeff created a problem for me because now he's got all this credit to work with, and it's more than what was needed for the down payment and closing costs, especially when we had it packaged out with a down payment assistance program, which already made it pretty skinny with cash needed anyway. So we worked towards figuring out what you planned on doing with the property and then built that into the deal to allow for some of that $18,000 credit to go towards your closing costs to make that minimal, and then had all the work taken care of for you that you planned on. The garage, the 2 additional rooms were paid for.
Because part of it, like I say, you say problem is because you can only have so many credits at closing.
Right.
Right. And you have to otherwise
Exactly.
you basically like use it or lose it.
Exactly.
And you don't want to lose.
No, you don't want to
money.
leave money on the table.
Yeah.
Exactly.
or a price reduction, right?
And a price reduction, you buy it for less, but it doesn't really move the numbers a lot. It doesn't change the payment a lot.
So and I want to chime in here because this is we all do this all the time now, but for new investors out there, like it sounds very weird. Hey, you actually raise the price a little bit to do a $15,000 credit, which means, hey, you essentially get $15,000 back at the closing table rather than reducing the price by $15,000.
Right.
Because if you reduce it by $15,000, what the mortgage changes by $30 a month?
Well, so 15K might be $100 a month.
Okay, $100 a month.
So let's call it $100, maybe a little over, but 15,000 in the bank versus $100 a month. You got to kind of pick which way you want to go, and having that 15 grand in the bank makes a lot better sense.
Yeah, I think so. I'd rather have 15K a day than $100 a month.
Yeah. Okay. So you doing your analytics on the property knew that, hey, this is going to make a lot of sense.
Yep.
Especially with the rental income you could get on those properties.
Yep.
On those rooms with that property, it was going to work out awesome, which it is right now. You've got 5 rooms rented, 3 rooms for yourself.
Yep.
So you basically live there, even with the current interest rates being what it is. And you already got, 5 rooms rented right now?
oh yeah, 4
4
rooms already.
And when's your first mortgage?
And you haven't even made your first mortgage payment.
yeah, it's in January next year.
And they've already paid rent though. So
Yep.
they're going to
They
help you
already
make
paid.
your
I
first
already have
payment.
the,
You
I
don't
already
even
have the
to-
deposit.
Yeah.
first
I already
months.
have their deposit, right, and the rent from November and then
That's
December.
awesome. So you got into it with improvements being made,
Yeah.
and you've got the payment covered.
But that's where I think like Jeff came in and helped me out for the timing, right? Like for example, for me, I knew my kid is on the way. I will be busy with that, and I will be buying the house, the improvements, all that stuff. So I think we timed it, meaning before I bought the house, I already had the kind of like little furniture, like for that 30 days closing,
Mhm.
I had the furniture ready, right? Like because you have to like shop for multiple places like marketplace and all that stuff. You cannot do everything at once or have the pictures on ad up ready on the Facebook marketplace or Roomies or other portals, right? So you got to time that, and Jeff really helped me out with the timing wise, right? So everything is not coming at once and I'm like frustrated myself, right? So we timed that out, and that's why we have tenants even before I complete my all the improvements. And that's where, because those money I can have it for in case something goes wrong, right? Because the emergency fund is always nice to have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you had, while you were closing, you were getting your furnishing and getting all the lease up plan in place.
Correct.
So that way, when it's ready to go, you're like, hey, I've got this other stuff ready to go, and not just, a month of vacancy while you're shopping on Marketplace and figuring out what to do. So like, that's a great tip right there. Because we've all seen this where someone buys a property and then it takes them 6 months, to kind of get things improved or whatever. But like, a big part of your success, Ganesh, is that you're a planner, and they're like, hey, great, here's the timeline, here's this. And when you plan things out and get the timeline smoothed up, you get to like stack the deck like you did here. And you put no money in this place. You have actually $1,000 back out. And from a pure number standpoint, what's so interesting is like you're making an infinite return on this property while you're living there at what, a 7.625% interest rate.
Yep.
Like, it's nuts.
Yes.
Congratulations.
In today's market, it's not. This wasn't 2 years ago. This wasn't like off market deal. This is straight from the MLS.
This was Q4 2023.
Yeah, Q4 2023, and it was just a single family. Anyone else could have bought it. It wasn't like we had some super secret tactic to figure out this is an amazing deal. The only thing that separated it, because of what Ganesh learned on the first place, he knows what to look for and how to find, turn this 4-bed 3-bath into 8-bed 3-bath. Because there's a lot of single family houses out there. There's a lot of places that could work, but a lot of them don't work.
Right.
And that's also important to know, is which ones could work for your goals. And this one checked the boxes. It had the garage is already kind of finished already, and he just added floor. Like, it was pretty straightforward to finish it up, and it turning it from a 4-bed 3-bath to an 8-bed 3-bath. This makes the numbers way better for him and his family, and his original goals of taking his mortgage/rent down to zero.
Yeah. Also, I think another tip that I would that was useful for me is, like, even before I put an offer, I had my contractors came in and like check for the improvements that I wanted to have to make the number works. Like, hey, how much if I turn this garage into the room, how much it would be, right? In the basement, if I want to add 2 rooms, like how much that would look like. So to make sure that number works, and to make sure I can work with those numbers with the seller credit, and then all the programs that Troy has, right? So to make all that number work. So I think all that stuff, and then when we put the offer, I had my contractors already signed the contract. Like, by the day the house got closed, they have to start working on the same day, so that I can have the house turned.
You had them
right
lined
away.
up that well?
That's
Oh
right,
yeah,
Dude,
He had it
I love
already.
it.
He had to
I
sign a
love it.
contract.
he's an engineer. He's an
I
engineer.
love
He's
it.
efficient.
How many quotes did you get?
How many?
Yeah, for the work being done. How many quotes was it for all the work?
Oh yeah, I got like 3 quotes for each one for each project, because I divided the whole project into 3 different projects, right? Like the 1 bathroom, the garage,
So
project,
so a bathroom, a
Correct.
garage,
and then the basement.
Basement rooms.
Correct.
And
So
okay.
I had 3 different contractors like came in, and some of them referred by Jeff, and some of them I knew from the prior deals, whatnot. And we have lined up for each project, and honestly, that worked out so beautifully, because like some based on the plumbing, based on what experts, I think like different contractors gave me different quote. And since all of them I knew, and then that worked out very well. So for 3 projects, I gave contract to 3 different people. And that works out so well, because everyone knew, like, I'm going to have another contractors coming in.
Yep.
Everyone knew who are the other contractors are. Everyone knew, like, I already showed them my prior work that they have done with me, right? I already know, like, okay, they are trustworthy, and they were also worked on the Jeff other properties as well. So they already knew. So there was a competition among them, right? And they gave me the best price that I wouldn't even negotiated more than that for. So all the price that they gave, and I gave each contractor each project, and that worked out beautifully. Like, I didn't have to put $1 into it.
Wow. I love it. You're
Yeah.
just methodical.
And then also he did a smart thing too. It's also in my course, the pre-leasing. You did this. So as long as if you're going to use the pictures of a listing, make sure to confirm with the listing agent
Yeah.
for any of you realtors out there.
Yes.
Don't just use their photos because those are copyrighted. But we got permission and he's able to use those photos and kind of post an ad with their permission as well to get those rooms basically, mark, because he knew fall is for rent by room, just like even normal tenants, it's the hardest time to fill vacancies. So the earlier you start, the more likely you'll be able to fill the rooms versus just waiting to day of closing and then starting. So he started like 2 weeks prior from your close date. So by the time you close, you already had like 3 people in there, right? Basically,
And it gave you time. It gave you time to do your pre-screening process, which you learned from the fight night.
Yeah, the Fight Club.
Right.
That's
rooftop.
correct. Take your time. Take your time.
Take
Don't
your
rush
time.
it. Don't rush it.
Do your due diligence, which Jeff is awesome at.
Yeah.
Right.
That tip is huge.
Yeah. So I think like for me, Jeff is like, I think like finding the good real estate agent is not just like who can help you just to buy the house, but I think like all the process, like setting up those processes, like contacting, I think he contacted like almost like every 2 days, he contacted the seller of the house, like, hey, how's the gutter looks, right? Like, or what's the, all the questions that I had, like when was the HVAC got replaced or all that stuff, like he already knew and he contacted like all them and negotiation. I think like it goes more than just like buying a place. And even after that, it's not just like you close the house and it's yours and the key, they hand over the key and that's about it. It's not like that. I think like it's more than that because there are always 10 different questions that you have. Like, and since I'm very new to this, like I didn't know where to, for example, even like where to put the bedroom, right? Or does it make sense to have what kind of like closet size in there? Or does it make sense to have the flooring with, I don't know, simple questions like carpet versus flooring, right? Wooden flooring, like I wouldn't know that. So, I mean, those kind of questions, like someone who has expertise in it has done over and over and over again, it just helps me turn. And I can tell you because from my prior deal, one example real quick is like, for example, on my first deal, I didn't look at the gutters. I underestimated like gutters. I didn't fix that because the handyman says like $500. They're going to fix the gutters, right? I'm like, $500 too much, right? I didn't fix the gutter. What happened next? When there was I think the rain, it was like highest in a couple of years, I think last year.
Oh, yeah.
My basement was flooded.
Oh, no.
And then I spent more than $2,000 to fix the gutters and fix the basement, right?
Yeah.
So I think like I underestimated like, $500 is a lot, right? But that's compared to what it cost me, it's not a lot. So that's why when I look for the next property, I already look for all those things. Like, hey, is my HVAC new? Because I know like those are very important. Is my gutters new? Those are very, very important. It's like, it's not just the cost you money-wise, but it's also frustrate the tenants. Like when there is mold, when there is like, flood and there is like mold and they have to get out, and then all the processes, like when handyman is working, everyone has the noise and no one can sleep, all that stuff. So those are nightmares for roommates too, who are already there. So those are kind of like, don't underestimate the all the little work that is like absolutely necessary, must have on your property. So that's where I think he helped me with he has like good eyes on like, okay, these gutters, like how they look, right? So, and for example, how the flooring look, is that a little bit slant,
Do you have a slope and
is there a
grade?
slope? Exactly. The HVAC system, how does that look? All that stuff is like, or even the water, how much it would bill me based on the area for the front yard and backyard, because water bill, they are not cheap. Water bills, they are a lot too. So I think with all those little things, those get add up real quick.
Yep.
So that's where his help on all that stuff is not just being real estate buying me help, just buying me the house. That help, like, it's more than that, and that's why it's always good to have the good lenders and the good agent, because I think when I started, I feel like I'm alone, right? Like I don't know how I'm gonna do $500. Like $500,000 deal, right? Like, and what if like this happens? What if, right? But then you have the meetup group, right? You have good lenders and you have the agent that you can reach out to even after deal is closed. That much more like peace of mind for me. And that's what I like, peace of mind. for me because I have family too,
Absolutely.
and a W-2 job, to take care of.
No, I appreciate you saying that. I'm glad that the team could help you out because I mean, it's said so many times that it kind of becomes a broken record, but like it's so important to have like the right investing team, and agent and lender are kind of like, I think, the core components. Contractors and title and other stuff, they kind of come and go, but agent and lender, like they're like the A team or the A part of the team in there.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Thank you for the shout out. I appreciate it.
What's next? You're on property 2. What's next? You gonna house hack again? Or are you
Yeah, I'm
you're gonna beat Jeff's record for the house hack?
that's for sure. If we take a pause.
Not yet.
No, yeah. So, but I'm not sure. But I would love to go into multifamily, and maybe I don't know. I'm still looking into the storage units or multifamily. I'm not sure yet, but I would like to explore those more, or would love to like partner with other investors and buy a bigger ones. Because right now, I think having a kid and the family, because I don't think I have a lot more time where I can go and screw here and like put a screw there and here and do the handyman work. Because when I bought the first house, technically it's rent free, whatnot, but you have to have commitment of like work, right? Like every single day, like I'm working on something. I'm improving the house, even though it's my house. That's why it's like you may want to work, even though you saw something broken, you want to fix it. But technically, you are working a lot of hours to the showings. You are working a lot of hours to do the marketing. It's not like financially it's rent free, but you are putting a labor instead of putting a money into it, and that commitment is a lot. So, but then once I have like first one, second one done, I think moving forward, I don't think this might be sustainable for me if I do keep doing that, just one house. And then, because house is like kind of kids, right? Like child, where they might have emergencies. You have to leave everything and just rush it and fix it, right? Or they are demanding, they want to have like this one get fixed and that one get fixed. And based on the seasonality, right? Something like that. So, yeah.
From a high level, I'd say as long as you can house hack, do that. Like I agree with what you're saying about, yes, like there's that time commitment, and hey, even if it's $5 or $10 an hour, like all of our time has value to it. But man, the longer you can house hack and the longer your wife and family will, house hack with you, man, that it's such an easy win from like, I know it takes time, money, but just the leverage and the power you get, man. Keep house hacking and then add on something on top of it. Like if I could go back in time, that's what I would do. Like house hack as long as possible. You may have to pause for a year or two, but especially when kids are really little, they're usually move around. House hack as much as possible because it's I just look at those as like easy base hits. I mean, yours have been like doubles and triples with the more creative stuff you're doing, but do that and then add on more investment on top of there.
Got it. Good advice.
I agree too.
Thanks.
It's like just
do what Jeff did.
Yeah,
I mean, he's been investing, but he house hacks pretty much every year.
Yeah, just wait a year. I mean, because there's different forms of house hacking. So if with your family now, you could just find like a side by side duplex, like full unit to yourself, separate unit to someone else. So there's still multiple forms with it that you can still accomplish all your goals, move once a year, because the kid's not going to remember from 0 to 5 anyway. So you might as well move them around before they get into school and all that, and use your flexibility because eventually you won't have it. And then when you don't have it, then you have to buy only investment properties. And Troy and Chris know saving up 20% is not that easy for investment properties when the average house here is, $550K.
And the numbers just get a lot tougher too. Like you don't have as much leverage. Like it's a lot of cash and
also at the interest rate, right? So because he's willing to live in the property as a primary residence for his investment, how much is he saving on rate?
Oh, it's
and down payment.
Significant. Significant. Let alone the down payment. Down payment, you're at least looking at 15%, right?
Yeah.
If you're doing 5% down, outside of your zero deals.
Negative.
Negative money.
The other thing I'd say on there too, Ganesh, is you're right. Like, like you don't want to be out there like swinging the hammer or doing this stuff. Like that's, not your skill set, nor is the highest and best use of time, but you're a really good problem solver. And I say this because, we talk to a lot of people and you're a very good like problem solver, which means you're good at deal making. Like a lot of that you can bring us helping to be more of the creative stuff or kind of like putting together and some project management, I would say. Like, hey, the way you ran this last property you bought with like the timeline, you did your due diligence, you got 3 quotes here, 3 quotes here, and you just kind of did your matrix. Hey, here's the best for this box, best for this box. Like, that's such a highly valuable skill that a lot of people underrate. That's way more valuable than you going there and like fiddling with the toilet guts or you doing something there. So like I would lean into like house hacking and then your deal making and your project management ability. Because like the way you said it, like, you know, all the stuff you did is, yes, go get 3 quotes. Yes, go do this. Like, it's stuff people say, but a lot of people don't do. And you did it, but he did it on a timeline as well. So like that's a very, very good resource to have and a good skill set you can bring to a partnership or a potential partnership.
Got it.
Yeah.
Special shout out to Troy too, because a great lender will understand when you get too many credits or you have the good problem to have, how to solve that. Because not every lender, most lenders, correct me if I'm wrong, Troy, the traditional other lenders will just say, oh, just reduce the price. You can't use the extra credits you got because you're capped out at whatever
Right.
the loan product is. So your creativity, I think, is so valuable in a transaction like this and other ones that's a huge difference maker for everyone.
It's a little bit of extra legwork at the end of the day because the loan's pretty well situated, moving along, moving towards closing, and now you have to kind of address this extra money issue. So you've got to weave that into the deal, get the documentation and information that's necessary and get it over to the title company, to the closing department, so to make sure that it's accounted for and taken care of. But yeah, it works, and we've done it many of times, and it really played out well for you, Ganesh. So super excited for you.
Yeah, thanks. I think like one, since I'm like an analytics background, I think like with Troy's, how he helped me on this deal is also like analyzing, right? Like, because there are so many ways that you can go it, right? Like, for example, or this deal or any other deal is like, okay, you get down payment assistance, but your interest rate might be a little bit higher. Right.
Yep.
Now, or the second one is like, if you get the 2-1 buy down, you add that to it. Right. And then there is permutation, combination, style, the analysis goes added on, right? Like, or do you pay upfront a little bit to reduce the interest rate, right, for the 30 years? So I think like depending on what your goals are, like whether you're gonna refinance or if you keep doing house hack, you may not refinance for a couple of years, because I think like there is a rule, you refi, you say as your primary residence, and then you cannot do house hack for that year. Probably
it can hold you back a little bit.
Yeah. So that's why having those number instead of like after moving forward, like having those number right away and those analysis you cannot do in your head. You have to have, because it will surprise you how quickly that go up and down. Yep. It's like, even though $300 up and down, you do those math, right? And then I think like he helped me really have those analysis done, like case 1, case 2, case 3, case 4. This is how much my monthly payment look like, but this is how my interest look like, right? And all that stuff. And I think those are very, very valuable. And a lot of people I think may not understand it, because those are very high level. Like you have to put a lot of brain into it and to understand. But I think like what Troy helped me is to understand all those, even a single dollar, right? And that gives me peace of mind. I know, like, I trust him, he will give me a good deal, but if I don't understand my deal, I might not be having a peace of mind. But now I understand each and every like penny. I have peace of mind. Like, I had the best deal. I did what I could do. He did what he could do. He did what he could do in terms of seller credit. So that's like much more appreciated on that.
Yeah, no, I agree. So great job, Troy. It's a lot of times that extra analysis goes underappreciated, but we appreciate. So thank you.
You bet.
So as we wrap this up, I know a lot of people are going to be inspired by your story, Ganesh. They're going to reach out. So I think by the time we publish this, I think you're speaking next house hacking meetup group, which won't work out for this. But as a general shout out, if you're here locally in Denver, every month we have a house hack meetup. Come plug in that. Thursday nights for beer or Saturday mornings for coffee. So pick your vice. And then what's the best way for people if they want to network with you or talk with you, Ganesh? Email, social, what's the best way to connect with you?
Yeah, if they are in Denver, they can meet at my house hack group, right?
Or you still come to them.
Or if you can reach out to me on Instagram. But one thing that I would say, like, to my audience, like, is like, even though you may not be thinking like right now to buy a house, or you may have plan in the future, the first step that they can do, or the things that they can do right now, is talk to the lender, see where you are at, see what your DTI looks like, understand those concepts, what DTI means, how you can improve those, how you can improve your credit score. Because it's not like today you decided to buy a house and tomorrow you have everything ready. It's not like that, right?
Yep.
Because if you want to improve the credit score, and that is like so much important, because like even the credit score, good credit score, and the interest rate, the correlation between those is like, yeah, that's like surprise you how the numbers will move in favor of you if you have a good credit score, something like that. Like, so, but that doesn't happen overnight. It takes long time to have plan, and it takes time to have like patience and be working with your numbers on your daily lives, like how much you are spending looks like. If you want to buy the house next year, how much you're spending, should like what car you should buy over the next year before you buy the house. Those kind of little decisions or big decisions, those affect your ability to buy the next house and to make the number works, right? So I would say first step, just talk to lenders, and I think like have your concepts clear, what needs to be done, and what are the action items that you have for you if you decided to buy maybe down the road, 1 year, 2 years.
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah, so well said.
Yeah. He's a poster child.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you. Ganesh, congrats. Thank you. Jeff, thank you. Troy, thank you. It's always fun doing these podcasts with you guys, talking deals. And we'll be talking more soon. So if you guys have any questions out there, reach out to Ganesh, reach out to myself, Jeff, Troy. You can go out there and take action. Reach out to us as well. We love putting deals together and doing creative deals in high interest rate markets as well. It can be done. If there's a will, there's a way. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you.